Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fabric Executive Talks. My name is Carlos Serginio. I'm part of the Microsoft Fabric team, and I'm going to be your moderator today. Today, we're going to talk about financial data without barriers, and I have the pleasure of having Dipti Borkar, the Vice President of Microsoft OneLake and ISVs, and Subhra Bose, the CEO of the Financial Fabric. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Financial institution has invested a lot on data platforms. So why why still they're still struggling on this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think data is largely still extremely fragmented. A lot of financial institutions still have data on-prem, right? Consolidating this data for AI is a bit of a non-trivial exercise. In addition to that, it's not only their own data that they depend on, but they use a lot of third-party data that they aggregate to make the better decisions. A trader who's working at a terminal needs to use many different sources to make the right call on which investment and so on. And so all of this means you need to unify, have a single view of that information for your AI, and wherever that data might live. And so it up until now, while there were other use cases, AI is really driving the need for much broader unification of this information.
Dipti, you just described my clients' everyday life. So we are Financial Fabric. We are a fintech based in New York City. We work with 200 plus capital markets data providers and 10,000 plus data sets, which are getting ingested in our platform in near real time. So what Deepti just described is our everyday life. Fragmentation increases operational cost. It creates risk. And even to date, a lot of the capital markets data is manually curated on a day-to-day basis. So that essentially creates latency in every part of the workflow. And in capital markets, millisecond is important. So imagine a human in the loop curating data.
No, and then you talk a good topic. Like there's many different type of application. Mainframe still very big on FSI and financial customers. So what should a modern, right? We talk a lot about fragmentation. How should a modern data structure, data philosophy needs to be like interconnected? Like
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, AI is kind of the big driver for this unification. Whether you use one lake, which is, you don't have two lakes, you don't have five lakes, you usually have one lake in your environment. You can consolidate within that, or you might have it in different clouds, but have a single view of your data estate. That's kind of where it starts. And as we talked with customers in financial services and in other industries as well, we are seeing that they are moving towards this unification. That doesn't mean migration. And that's really important because migrations are hard traditionally and time consuming, could take a long time. And so you can leave your data where it is, shortcut it into one lake, make it more available, whether it's you can mirror data if it's databases, including Oracle and business data and SAP, etc. You have that unification, and then run AI models, etc. on top using our various different engines. OneLake integrates with many platforms. Of course, we might be biased to Fabric, but you can use other engines on top as well.
So connected data actually helps you focus on, shift your focus from ingestion of the data to actually using it. So we have a big announcement in Fabric. The Capital Markets Data Hub is available as a workload today. So in preview, so you can get data from all of these 200 providers and 10,000 plus data set with few clicks directly in your Fabric tenant, exactly as Dipti said, without copying the data or going through a migration process. So we are super excited about it. And Fabric helps us bringing that data at scale to our clients. of course, we are super excited. So
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, 200 sources and connections is like very impressive. So we talk about a lot about unification, not necessarily migration. That's very important because that takes many months. How should leaders need to start thinking about this new, when they want to modernize their data state? How should leaders need to start thinking about this now?
So it goes back to what you are consuming. In capital markets, the data is not just complex. You are talking about regulatory requirements. You are talking about privacy requirements on the data. And in terms of getting the data ingested is just one piece of the problem. How you use the data, how you scale with the data, how you spin up agentic workflows to make a difference, whether it is investment decision making, risk management, or regulatory compliance. That's where the leaders should think about. Like, not about acquiring the data, but about using the data, curated data, which is already in Fabric.
Yeah, and of course it's using the data, but I would add that we're seeing a lot of cases, use scenarios for sharing data as well, right? So just like Financial Fabric brings in these data sets, 200 aggregated data sets, which is very rich for customers. You can share data within your organization with different teams. And again, it's not creating new copies of data, but using shortcuts, using that single copy, not just within your organization, but to your end customers. A lot of financial service institutions, data is the business, right? They actually drive a lot of revenue by sharing their indexes, their composites that are aggregated, and they want to actually make it more accessible. So it's using it internally to drive value, making the right investment decisions, traders making the right decision, and then beyond that, it's monetizing the data and making the data more accessible at your customers, at other businesses as well.
So you're bringing a very important point, right? Because financial institutions need to share their data across different organizations and then governance, security are so important. Subhra, what's your point of view, like building on that topic?
Fabric really enables us to do that, right? I'm going to get straight to the point, which is Fabric gives you the lineage of data. It gives you row-level security. It's very well integrated with Purview, right? We are rolling out policy-based encryption so that the provider data can be distributed without worrying who is accessing the data, which is big, which is huge in capital markets. We are working with Microsoft ACCR, Azure Confidential Computing Room. So there we are enabling multi-party workflows. As Dipti mentioned, real-life business is about sharing and exchanging data across geographic and organizational boundary, but that comes with nuances. And Fabric helps us solving it.
The other big thing that's foundational, about big announcement for FabCon was One Lake Security is now generally available as well. So super exciting. It really, the security is at the lake level. And so you have row level security, column level security. You can define your policies at the lake level, no matter what engine you use on top, and or including data that comes in from Financial Fabric, right? So that's really kind of foundational security that you can build on top of. Of course, beyond that, there's things like encryption, so customer managed keys, private link support. There's so many security features that Fabric has now that allow customers to really make it secure and governed.
Good. And as a final question, right, as a perhaps like a guidance or recommendation to any financial customers listening to us, what do you recommend as a next step they need to start thinking about?
It's a fast-moving world right now. Really, I mean, the pace of innovation, the pace at which products are evolving, technology is evolving is very, very fast. So, the architects, the data platform teams are making decisions very fast. But at the same time, they need to think through those decisions and build architectures that will last, right? That will support agentic workflows, that will support not only human consumption, but agentic consumption. And so as you're building out your architectures, the unification, as we talked about earlier, is super important at that tier, but then making it more accessible and shareable. Think through what APIs are you going to expose as endpoints. SFTP. I was joking with someone yesterday. Is still a thing in financial services, and maybe you need to move beyond that to real APIs, MCP APIs, right? So that agentic workflows can actually be used on top of this data. So think through your architecture, bring in and consolidate your data, get your unification, virtual or physical, and leverage third-party data using our partners like Financial Fabric and others, and build out that architecture.
Subhra?
So the key differentiation is not about acquiring the data anymore. Everybody has the data. How fast you can use it, how real time you can use it. Having tens of thousands of data set and being able to operate on that so that you can create these agentic workflows for investment decision making, risk management, regulatory compliance. That's the differentiation. So with the Fabric workload, we are able to bring these 200 providers, you name it, any bank, Citi, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, data from there in terms of tens of thousands of near real-time data sets where our clients can build their next generation workflows. That's the foundation. And Fabric helps us getting that scale.
To financial customers, financial services customers, a lot of data fragmentation. So the best recommendation and approach will be like, hey, let's unify, let's leverage existing platforms that are built securely and governed, and making sure that they're also bring that compliance element and security for them as well. So in order to get faster to AI. So
Absolutely.
this has been great. Thank you, Dipti. Thank you, Subhra.
What a conversation. Everything you've been watching here was captured live at FabCon and SequelCon in Atlanta, from the interviews to the demos to the community insights that make these events so special. If you're into Microsoft Fabric, SQL, and the future of data, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And speaking of next, we're taking this show to Barcelona. FabCon and SequelCon Barcelona are happening this September 2026, and it's going to be packed with big announcements, deep technical sessions, and one amazing global data community. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to register and use code FABTV to save €200 off your ticket. As always, thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next one.